Next, I would like to introduce Deborah Ellinger, the CEO of Ideal Image.
Thank you very much, Brian. Quick thing, there are a bunch of seats up front here. If any of you standing in the back would like to move forward, there are quite a few people who came in, so come on up, unless maybe you're the guys who always stand at your desks, or I see my colleague there who's in the military. That might be why he's standing at the back. But come on forward and get comfortable. You've got 2 more speakers to go. Just want to say thank you very much for inviting me. I actually moved here about a year ago from Boston, and I love it here. I absolutely adore Tampa Bay. I think it's a hidden gem. I'm sort of in 2 minds about whether to tell people about it or keep it as a quiet secret, because it's awesome. I love the outdoor life. There's great restaurants. The people here are fantastic. It's a growing area, and I really couldn't be happier. My husband and I love it. We play tennis. We're out biking, boating. You're all here probably for the same reason. I also love Ideal Image, and it's funny for me because I was a tomboy growing up. I had never set foot in a med spa. I have never done any beauty treatments of any sort other than getting my hair cut. I really don't use makeup. I mean, I'm just one of those people who's not been that interested. So first of all, I'm curious, how many of you know, put your hand up if you know what Ideal Image is. So most of you, although it's interesting, if you look at that logo right there, Ideal Image, it kind of looks like a photography studio, doesn't it? So it's been an interesting thing for me that we have that sign above our doors, and we've got 130 centers around the country in the US and Canada, and a lot of people don't know what we are. Some of you may hear the ads on the radio for laser hair removal, but we do a lot of other things as well. I'd love to get just thoughts from the audience. What do you think we do besides laser hair removal? Want to call out a few? Okay. Say it again. Cosmetics. Well, we don't do cosmetics in terms of putting cosmetics on you, but I'm going to try a couple more and then I'll tell you what we do. Anybody else? Body sculpting. There's a good one. So have you heard of this? Cool sculpting. It's actually really cool. Sorry. So cool sculpting is the process by which we attach essentially a really fast fridge, a freezer, to your fat around your middle, for example. My husband has had his love handles done. I probably shouldn't tell you that. I have had my muffin top done. So the way it works is we attach a freezer to you. It freezes the fat underneath the skin. It does not damage the skin. The fat then is damaged, and it basically falls away over the following 2 to 3 months. And you get rid of the love handles, the belly, and even a double chin, for example. So back to aesthetics, and you were saying cosmetics. We also do Botox, fillers, wrinkle relaxers, a whole bunch of things. In fact, I think I have probably a clicker. There we go. All right. Quick thing on some of the things we do. So I was going to ask you, well, what is an advanced med spa? And here are a few of the things. And I'll talk about a couple of them later, but that's kind of the things that we do, and we're continuing to expand our services. So I'm actually curious, because this is a mostly male audience, if just take a look at your credit card statement next time, and you might find out you're actually a customer of Ideal Image you might not know. So it's been interesting to me. We are primarily focused on women. It's about 80% women, 20% men, depending on the service. I think what's been most interesting to me, though, is that I don't think we're actually in the beauty business. We're actually in the self-confidence business. And let me explain that to you a little bit, because that's actually why I came to this business. As I said, I'm really not into beauty very much. You can tell by looking at me. Not my focus, right? But the self-confidence business is interesting. So I'll give you an example. I was in a center last week talking to a young woman in her mid-20s, and she had had facial hair growing up. She had been bullied her entire life throughout high school. When she got to college, she did not date. She was afraid of that 5 o'clock shadow. And when she first came to us, she was rather withdrawn. And talking to the nurses who treated her over the subsequent year, she was shy. But the person I met when I went there was very confident, had a successful career, was dating, and was happy with her life. And she told me we had changed her life. And those are the stories that, for me, make a difference. And it's not just women, by the way, it's guys. I actually had a guy tell me about a month ago that growing up, his friends called him Ape Man. Now, the friends thought that was funny and a compliment because he's a big, strapping guy, a very attractive man, actually, but he had a lot of body hair, and we took care of it for him. So, you know, that's an example. It's the same whether it's laser hair removal or it's Botox removing the wrinkles, because when you're in a transition, and that's often our customers who are in a transitionary moment, maybe a change of relationship, a divorce perhaps, or a change of job, those people actually do need to get their self-confidence back. And our services are really spectacular. They work. You know, and I'm sure you've all seen people who have maybe overdone it. Ours is very subtle. So we actually won't do, you know, we will do plumped lips, but we won't do the big lips. You know, we will help fill in the face. Personally, I've done a few things, and I don't ask people to tell me what they've done for HIPAA reasons, but I can tell you what I've done. And I'll show you a before and after in a moment, but I had age spots all over my face because I have to admit I've been out in the sun a lot in my life. I was one of those, you know, laying out on the beach, and I had age spots, and I've had broadband laser therapy done to get rid of it. It makes a difference. So back to confidence. Here I am. I'm going to be 60 in a couple of years, but I have to look young, or younger anyway. I have to look my best, and it makes a difference for me. So that's the business we're in, self-confidence. But this is a business symposium, so let me tell you a few things about Ideal Image. We're not anywhere near as big as BayCare. A couple $100 million in revenues, 130 centers across the US and Canada. 1,200 associates and counting, because we are growing, and 600 of those are nurses, nurse practitioners, physician assistants. We have all of our treatments are done by medical professionals. And in Tampa Bay, about 150. So that includes 120 or so. Actually, I'm not sure what the numbers are. 110 in our home office right here down the street. We're headquartered here. And then we have centers, 4 or 5 centers in the Tampa Bay area to treat people. So you may have seen in my bio that I came from, I mentioned I came from Boston. I've been running private equity-backed companies for 4 years, for over a decade, I'm sorry. 4 companies in that time. I was CEO of a pet food company called Wellness. I was president of Restoration Hardware. I ran a test prep company called the Princeton Review, and now here I am at Ideal Image. All 4 backed by private equity firms, 3 of those by the same firm. And the advantage of working with a private equity firm is they have capital for expansion, and that's why I've been interested in doing this. This is about growth. Sometimes there's some fix-it to be done first, but it's about growth. And those businesses might sound very different, but they're actually remarkably similar. They're all consumer-facing. If you think, for example, test prep versus Ideal Image, think of nurse versus tutor. Think of treatment room versus classroom. Think of scheduling. Think of operations. Think about hiring and trying to run 130 locations. So I have a framework that I use, and I've used this in every business I've been in, and I talk with our team about this. What are the best ways to grow? You have to first of all know what your core business is. What business are you in at the heart? Who are your customers? What do you do every day? And then you can expand from there, but you should not try and expand too far or too fast or do too many. The biggest failure mode I have seen in businesses is where people have, 100 initiatives all over this map. They're trying to get new customers, they're offering new services, they're going into new channels, it's a bit like saying, we're going to put Ideal Image in on boats or in gyms. That would be a new channel. Or laser hair removal, which has typically been for younger women trying to do it for older women. Right? Or on the channel, new products and services, which we are doing, expanding into things that people already coming to us are doing. And of course, the geographic one. Every business has that opportunity. Do we expand? For us, it's the US and Canada, but eventually international. So every business can look at this, and almost every business I've come into has had things all over the map. So when I arrived at Ideal Image, this is what we had. This is a year ago, me looking at it saying, okay, what are we doing for growth? Where are we focusing? I'll give you a few of my favorites. And you probably can't read this here. It's a bit of an eye chart. But here's an example. Toenail fungus. We were actually looking at offering toenail fungus assistance because we have lasers, we have nurses, people have toenail fungus, it's an issue. Why not offer it since we've got the machines and the people? But really, toenail fungus is a different customer, is paid for differently. It requires different marketing. It's not as simple as just saying, I'm going to offer something. Another one that was there, hormone replacement therapy, IV drips, right? We have nurses. We can hook you up to a machine. We can give you vitamin C or a hangover drug if you live in Vegas. There's a lot of things that we could do. These are all things, each of which actually may make sense in their own right if you were going to focus on them. Each of them has a market. Each of them is out there. But it doesn't make for a really good, sort of clear brand story. It's very confusing to our own associates. It's confusing to our guests. And so every time I come into a company, I will look at a map like this and say, let's prioritize what we're doing. So I arrive at Ideal Image, and I looked at each one of these, and what you can see there is a lot of what I call red herrings. Took a bunch of those things, toenail fungus, vaginal rejuvenation, hair regrowth, fillers for hands. Those are all things that are good in their own right, but not central for us. So this is something I recommend you think about for your own businesses. You know, where is your focus? Who is your core customer? Which of these dimensions are you going to expand around? And can you stay close enough to the core so that you are relevant to your customer set? So this is what we ended up doing. We crossed off a lot of those. And with what we have now, with laser hair removal that's been historically the center of our business, our therapy, which is collagen regeneration for the face using ultrasound, all of the injectables, Botox fillers, wrinkle relaxers and such like, and then body sculpting, that's the cool sculpting, but also other things besides cool sculpting. Those are the things that are the core of what we're doing today and just expanding, and now we're adding on a few things. So facial rejuvenation. I mentioned broadband light therapy. That's an example of something we have just added and is now in all of our centers nationwide as a new offering. We're looking at other facial rejuvenation products as well. Branded lotions, creams, and ointments. Those are things that you need to go with the regimens that you're already on. So for example, and for all of you, I please ask, use sunscreen, 50 SPF at least. Try and get a good blocker, so zinc oxide or something in it. And we want to offer our own products that meet the better definitions of a really good sunscreen, because after you do laser hair removal or broadband therapy or many of these other treatments, you should block the sun to retain that youthful look. And then store expansion. So we are going to open 20 to 30 stores next year, 20 to 30 stores the following year, 20 to 30 stores the year after. That's one of the reasons we have a private equity backer, is to enable us to do that. Very quickly, here's an example of broadband light therapy. Can you see that? You see the difference in pigmentation for this individual before and after. It's fairly dramatic. I'm not sure if you can see in the back. Can you guys see all right? Yep. All right, here's my own. So, you know, who is that hag on that left? Instead of that beauty you see in front of you right now on the right. This is an example. Now, this is actually after just one treatment, and it has got better since. So there were still areas to be done. We actually recommend 4 treatments to get a complete sort of fresh baby bottom look. So that's an example of that. We are also expanding stores. This is still with our old branding. In fact, I don't even know where these signs come from, because it's not our old brand and it's not our new brand. But we're opening stores now, and we're just about to come up with and start expanding using our new brand, which I'll show you in a moment. But we just opened a store in Attleboro, Massachusetts, another one in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. We are opening one in Fort Worth, Texas. I'm missing one. So we've got a bunch coming this year, and then we have, as I said, 20 or 30 next year. So there's the old brand, and this I'm pleased to unveil. This is literally out just this last week. moving from the photography studio look to actually trying to explain a little bit of who we are. So this is Ideal Image, and we've added a service descriptor so that when you walk up and you see that sign on the front of the door, you can actually understand who we are and what you might find when you go inside. So these services are advanced, and we talk about it because these are all very expensive machines. Each machine is like $100,000 per machine. It's all delivered using highly trained medical staff. And we only do those things. We don't do, facials and mani-pedis and that kind of thing. We just do this very sort of high-tech stuff. The circle that you see with the eyes going around it, that's the eyes from Ideal Image, but we actually refer to it as the spark of rejuvenation. We think of it as also looking a little bit like lasers, because we use quite a few lasers. And for us, it sort of provides a full circle around what we're doing as a business. And I will just quickly share with you a spot on the new branding. Let me see if I can get this thing to work.
We're Ideal Image. Familiar with med spas? Well, we're what you call the advanced med spa. Long story short, we only use the best technology to help you find that little something you've been looking for. And as nursing and medical professionals, we're experts in the whole innovative beauty thing. We know when you look good, you feel good. And we're all about you feeling your best. So what do you want to know? Ask us anything. Let's have an honest conversation.
So that is a new look for us, just being unveiled this week. And as it says there, ask us anything. So one of the things I would like to offer for sure is if there are questions from the audience, perhaps after the last speaker, I'm not sure, Brian, how you would do this normally. Definitely ask me anything. I'm very proud of our company. I'm proud of our 1,000+ associates, our 600 nurses, who, by the way, were some are right now in Puerto Rico trying to help out, even though we are not in Puerto Rico. We have had people volunteering from our staff in shelters, in hospitals. We've had people, in fact, Sean, who's in the back there, was mucking out houses after the river overflowed in his neighborhood. So very proud of our team and the fact that they help people every day. Thank you.